I hit rock bottom with money, not because I was broke, but because I was lost. My bank account looked fine, but my habits were chaos. I kept earning more and saving less. That's when I decided to do a 3-month money reset. Before I share how it changed everything, don't forget to like, comment your current money goal, and subscribe to Simple Stroke Official. We talk real habits here. No fake hustle, no guilt trips, just quiet systems that build peace and progress. My reset started with one brutal truth. I didn't know where my money went. So I tracked every expense for 30 days. Every swipe, every snack, every random just this once purchase. The numbers didn't lie. I was bleeding cash from tiny and visible holes. The awareness alone was uncomfortable. I wasn't irresponsible. I was unconscious. I bought convenience because I was tired, status because I was insecure, and distraction because I was bored. That realization hurt, but awareness is always the first investment. Month 1 was about reflection, not restriction. I didn't try to fix everything overnight. I just observed. My goal wasn't to save yet. It was to understand my triggers. And surprisingly, that understanding itself reduced my spending almost immediately. Once I could see my habits clearly, I started the next phase, control. I created 3 simple buckets: needs, wants, and goals. No fancy apps, just notes on my phone. Every dollar I earned had to land in one of those buckets. Here's what happened. For the first time, I felt ownership. I wasn't reacting to my money anymore, I was directing it. That tiny act of categorizing every dollar gave me a sense of calm I hadn't felt in years. By week 5, something unexpected happened. I stopped feeling broke. Even though my income hadn't changed, I felt wealthier because I finally knew where every dollar was going. Clarity, it turns out, feels richer than income ever could. Then came the real challenge, saying no. The second month was designed to rebuild boundaries. No unplanned spending, no emotional shopping, no delivery food when lazy. I had to sit with discomfort instead of outsourcing it to convenience. The first 2 weeks were rough. I wanted to escape into spending a dozen times, but every time I resisted, I gained confidence. Self-control feels awkward at first, then addictive, because discipline is the quietest form of self-respect. By week 8, I noticed my relationship with time shifting too. I stopped wasting hours scrolling online stores. I started reading, walking, and journaling instead. The urge to buy things faded as I filled that space with real satisfaction. The reset wasn't just about money, it was about energy. I realized how often I spent to avoid feelings. When I removed that habit, emotions I'd buried began to surface. It was uncomfortable but necessary. You can't heal what you constantly escape from. Midway through month 2, I set one rule: pause 24 hours before buying anything non-essential. The delay exposed my impulses. Half the time, I didn't even want the thing anymore. The other half, I bought consciously and guilt-free. That rule saved me hundreds in a month. But more than that, it taught me something deeper. Impulse is temporary, but peace lasts. Every paused purchase built a little more patience, and patience, it turns out, compounds like money. By the start of month 3, I felt momentum. My savings had grown, my debt was shrinking, and my anxiety about money was almost gone. The reset stopped being a project and became a lifestyle. That's when transformation really began. I started automating everything: bills, transfers, even small investments. Automation removed decision fatigue. When you make saving default instead of optional, discipline stops relying on willpower. That's the trick rich people don't talk about. Then I created what I called the 3M system: money, mind, and meaning. Every financial habit had to serve one of those: money for survival, mind for growth, and meaning for peace. If something didn't fit any of those, it got cut. Suddenly, my life became lighter. My apartment decluttered, my mind quieted, and my days felt calmer. Financial minimalism bled into emotional minimalism. I learned that abundance isn't about having more, it's about needing less. I also discovered that simplicity isn't boring, it's freeing. I stopped chasing new goals every week and started perfecting the old ones. That focus made my results skyrocket. It's not speed that builds wealth, it's direction. The biggest win from month 3 wasn't the amount I saved, it was the peace I gained. For the first time, I wasn't scared to check my bank account. I knew exactly what was inside because I had designed it that way. At the end of 90 days, I sat down with my notes. My income hadn't doubled, my habits had, and that made all the difference. Because habits compound even when paychecks don't. That's the real math behind lasting wealth. I used to think financial freedom meant owning a business or making 6 figures, but now I define it differently. Freedom is when your money stops controlling your emotions. That realization was worth more than any salary increase. People around me started noticing. "You seem calmer," one friend said. I laughed. I just stopped leaking peace through poor decisions. The truth is, chaos is expensive. Every bit of order you build saves both money and sanity. Month 3 also taught me to appreciate progress over perfection. I didn't hit every target. Some weeks I slipped. But instead of giving up, I recalibrated. That's what makes habits sustainable, not being flawless, but being flexible. With that mindset, I started building long-term systems, automatic transfers into savings, recurring donations to causes I care about, monthly check-ins to track growth. The reset wasn't a phase anymore, it became identity. That's when I realized something profound. Money management is really self-management. The moment you master your habits, your finances follow automatically. Wealth, in that sense, is just emotional maturity in numbers. I learned to stop chasing shortcuts. Every get-rich-quick promise online started to feel hollow. The truth? Real wealth hides in boring routines, the kind you repeat so consistently that they become invisible. That's what my reset built. My favorite part of this journey is how simple it looks from the outside. People assume I just got lucky, but behind the calm is structure, automatic saving, intentional spending, and emotional clarity. Luck is just preparation meeting patience. If I could summarize the first half of this reset, it's this. Don't fix your budget before fixing your mindset. Numbers matter less than awareness. Once you understand your triggers, the math becomes easy. Awareness pays higher interest than any bank ever could. The second half of my reset focused on growth. I'd fixed the leaks, now I needed to build flow. I started learning about investing, side income, and compound growth. But this time, I approached it with calm, not desperation. Instead of chasing trends, I studied principles, diversification, risk tolerance, long-term patience. I realized investing isn't about timing the market, it's about time in the market. Consistency beats genius when your ego stops leading your wallet. I began putting small amounts into index funds. Nothing fancy, just steady contributions. Watching even a few dollars grow felt empowering. It reminded me that every bit of progress compounds, both in finance and in life. Meanwhile, I kept refining my spending. I created a joy list, 10 things that genuinely made me happy. If a purchase wasn't on that list, it didn't deserve my money. That single filter saved more than any budgeting app could. By week 10, I felt unstoppable. My habits were on autopilot. Money was flowing where it should. My energy returned because I wasn't drowning in decisions anymore. Simplicity turned out to be the best productivity hack I'd ever found. That's the thing about order. It gives space for creativity. With my finances stable, I started a side project I'd postponed for years. It didn't even make money at first, but it brought meaning, and meaning is the best ROI. I stopped calling it a money reset. It was really a life reset. Because once you learn to manage your money, you start managing everything else. Your time, your emotions, your peace. Money was just the mirror showing what needed fixing. In month 3, I introduced a weekly ritual, Money Sunday. 1 hour to review goals, check expenses, and celebrate wins. That simple routine kept me accountable. Progress tracked becomes progress multiplied. That's when I realized wealth isn't built in spreadsheets, it's built in behavior. The people who stay rich aren't the smartest, they're the most consistent. Consistency turns small wins into unstoppable momentum. By the final week, I had clarity I never felt before. My savings grew, my spending aligned with my values, and my anxiety melted away. I wasn't rich, but I was secure, and that feeling, that's real wealth. The reset also forced me to confront comfort zones. I learned that comfort and growth rarely coexist. Every time I chose discomfort, delaying gratification, saying no, facing numbers, I got stronger. Growth hides behind discipline. When I told a friend about the reset, she said, I could never do that. I smiled. Neither could I, until I started. The hardest part of change is believing you can survive the boredom of consistency. But that's where results live. I even learned to celebrate differently. Instead of impulsive shopping, I treated myself with experiences, a quiet dinner, a solo day trip, a new book. It's amazing how joy expands when it's not buried under regret. Somewhere between month 2 and 3, I stopped counting days. That's when I knew it had worked. When new habits become natural, the finish line disappears. You're just living differently, calmly, intentionally, sustainably. I looked back at my notes and smiled. 90 days earlier, I was anxious, reactive, and exhausted. Now, I was grounded. The reset didn't make me rich overnight, but it made me someone who could become rich, and that's a bigger win. Here's the truth. You can't reset your finances without resetting your identity. Saving, investing, earning, they all start with who you believe yourself to be. I stopped calling myself bad with money. I started acting like someone who cared. That mindset change shifted everything. When you see yourself as capable, discipline stops feeling like punishment. It becomes pride. Every smart decision reinforces that new identity, one that respects money and peace equally. By the end of those 3 months, I didn't just have better numbers, I had better boundaries. I no longer said yes to every invitation, sale, or pressure. My money was aligned with my purpose, not my mood. I also noticed my stress levels drop. Financial chaos used to trigger panic. Now it triggered problem solving. That emotional stability was the most underrated part of wealth. Calm confidence that no spreadsheet can measure. That's what I tell people now. A money reset isn't about becoming rich. It's about becoming ready. Ready for opportunities, ready for uncertainty, ready for peace. Because when you're ready, abundance has a place to land. The last day of my reset, I didn't buy anything. I just sat with my coffee, one I made at home, and smiled. It wasn't about deprivation anymore. It was about direction. I finally knew where my life was heading. That morning, I wrote one sentence in my journal: I trust myself with money. That single belief rewrote every part of my life. Because wealth isn't what you have, it's who you become while learning to handle it. I still repeat that reset every year just to realign. Not because I need to, but because clarity fades when ignored. The 3-month money reset is my annual reminder to live intentionally, not accidentally. Every time I restart, I find new lessons, not about money, but about myself. It's like holding a mirror to my priorities, and each reflection gets a little clearer, a little calmer, and a little freer. Looking back, I realized that the real transformation didn't happen in my wallet, it happened in my mindset. I stopped treating money like mystery and started treating it like partnership. That's the moment peace replaced pressure. And if you're still listening to this, maybe that's your sign too. You don't need a miracle. You just need 90 days of honesty, structure, and patience. The 3-month money reset works, not because it's magic, but because it's mindful. So, if this story hit you, take that as a nudge. Hit like, share it with someone who needs a reset, and subscribe to Simple Stroke Official. Your new chapter doesn't need luck, it just needs your next choice to be intentional.